Hello everyone, welcome back to Maker's Gonna Learn. My name is Lauren and I'm a craft producer here at Maker's Gonna Learn, and today I'm bringing you something that is new to the sublimation and crafting world, or at least it is to us, and that is DTF film and adhesive, which means direct to fabric. So what I'm going to be teaching you in today's video is we're going to be using our sublimation printer, printing off an image, adding the DTF adhesive, and sublimating on 100% cotton. Y'all, this is not a joke, it is possible, and today I'm going to show you how. Now I'm going to go overhead and show you all the materials that you're going to need for us to get crafty today. Now we're going to go over the materials that you're going to need for this project. Obviously, because we are sublimating on 100% cotton, you are going to need a 100% cotton t-shirt. The key to sublimating on 100% cotton is this DTF transfer film and adhesive. Now what DTF is it's direct to fabric, so it's very similar to direct to fabric printing. This is what the adhesive looks like. It is a powdery substance, so you are going to need a bin or something to put that in. You're also going to need a piece of copy paper, and that's to help this film pull through your sublimation printer. You're going to need a measuring tape to measure the area you're working with on your shirt. You are going to need some masking tape, as well as your sublimation printer and a heat press. These are obviously key to this project. Now we're going to head over to Maker's Gonna Learn, and I'm going to show you what file we're going to be using, and then we're going to actually working out of Canva today, and I'm going to show you how you can upload your Maker's Gonna Learn files into Canva to print on your printer. Now that we're here at Maker's Gonna Learn, the files that you can use are any print and cut image. We have a print and cut section right here that you can go to and pick out, but I know exactly which one I'm going to be using, and I'm going to be using one that's called landscape. So I'm just going to search for that. As you can see, there are lots of beautiful landscapes that we could be working with. We're going to be working with landscape 1. So what you're going to do is you're going to download that onto your computer. You're going to come over here. It's going to open up as a PNG. Now I'm going to keep this right here, and I'm going to go back to Canva. I want to be working with an 8.5 by 11, and I'm going to create new design. Once that pulls up, because I want to upload that image into here, I'm going to go to uploads. Now you can see I've already uploaded it, but what you can do is you can open this up. You can drag and drop this over here, and it is going to automatically upload for you. So I'm going to click this image. I like to scale this down on the sides. It's not necessary. I just think it works. It helps me work a little bit better. And then I'm going to size this as large as I want. Now I'm working with an adult size extra large t-shirt, so I want to get it as big as I can. Now the film we have is only 8.5 by 11, so with this design, this is as big as it can get. Now one thing I want to make sure to let you guys know is with this image, I can go ahead and print it as is. However, if you are working with text, you need to make sure that you mirror your image. So I'm going to click on my image, and then if you're working with text, once again, you're going to hit flip. And this is where you can either flip it horizontally or flip it vertically. So we are going to flip ours horizontally. You can flip yours horizontally. Now, if you're wanting your text to run up and down on your piece of paper, then you will need to flip vertically. So just keep that in mind. You want to mirror your image if you are working with text. So I'm just going to position this. Once you have it positioned, you are going to share it. You are going to click download. It is going to download as a PNG. I'm going to click transparent background, hit download. As you can see, it's downloading here in the corner. Then I'm going to pull it up here, and then I'm going to, from this screen, I'm going to print this. So I'm going to be printing it from our workforce computer, our workforce printer, which is this one. Now, here's where you need to change. I think that it works best through all of the testing that I have done if you choose photo on glossy paper. Then from there, you are going to change your media and quality, make sure it is on best, and then your media type is photo glossy paper. Once you have done that, you are ready to print. Now before you print, for me, I have tried sending this DTF film through our printer just by itself, and through all of the testing, it has not worked for us. The best results that I have gotten is when you take this and you actually tape it on to a plain piece of paper. So we're gonna go overhead and I'm gonna show you guys how you're going to do that. So as you can see, our packaging tells us that print side is on this matte side. So you're gonna want to make sure that you tape this with the matte side facing up. I know it's gonna be hard for you guys to see, but I'm gonna line this up as close to the top as I can, leaving a little room for the tape to stick to the copy paper. I'm going to take my masking tape, pull it off, and then all I'm going to do, while that is still laying on a flat surface, I'm going to try my best to grab as small of an edge on that transfer film as possible, push it down, and then we're gonna pick both of them up, turn it over, and then fold this and get it perfectly flush with our copy paper. From there, you need to know how your printer works. Ours specifically works with the side that you want to print on facing down. So we have to load our paper with the copy paper facing up. All printers work different. I'm not saying this is how yours works. You need to test on a plain piece of copy paper first, put an X on one side of your paper and see which side your copy paper will print on. So do that, test it first, and then you're gonna put your paper in either up or down depending on how your printer works. So now I'm gonna send this to the printer and we'll be right back once this is printed. Now that we have our transfer printed, we are going to add the DTF adhesive. So as you can see, we've been testing and working, so I've already got some in there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna place my film in here, trying your best not to touch your ink. And I'm just going to work this around, pick up the bottom and move this adhesive around on my image. As you can see, this adhesive is sticking to the ink, and that is exactly what we want. So I'm just going to pick it up and move it around. And make sure it gets really, really good and coated. From there, I'm just going to give it a little bit of a shake. I like to hold it up to the light and make sure that there are no spots missing. And if I see a spot, like there's a spot up around the top of this mountain that I think could use a little bit more adhesive, you can place it back in. And we're just going to take some of this and sprinkle it on the top. And then I'm just going to pick it up and move it around that area again. And then dust it off one more time. Now that we have our DTF powder on here, what we are going to do is we are going to cook it. And I say that in quotations. We are going to, and you're going to be able to see the difference. We're going to place this under our heat press, not with the heat press touching it. We don't want the heat press to touch it. And what it's going to do is these little granules are going to really sink into that ink and really adhere to that ink, and it's going to change color. So you want to cook it so that you don't have this powder sugar looking substance on here. So we're going to place it under our heat press. We're going to lower our heat press. Now this may take 30 seconds to a minute and a half, but you can lift your heat press that you're working with. Ours, with it being a clamshell, the top plate is at an angle, so that back portion gets cooked a little faster than the front. So what I like to do is check it, and it's nowhere near close, so we're gonna put it back down, and then I'll turn it around. Now I will tell you, we are working at 385 degrees. That's what we're going to be pressing our shirt at. So make sure your heat press or your heat source is working at 385 degrees. So now you can really see the color and the detail in this beautiful piece of art that we're going to be pressing onto this shirt. Cooking it really brings out those colors. Before if you have a lighter image, do not fret if you feel like, oh, these colors aren't right, because once you get this powder on here and you get it cooked, those colors are really going to come through. So once we have cooked our image, what I like to do is I like to give a good press to my shirts to get all of the wrinkles out. So I'm just going to give this shirt a press for about 10 to 15 seconds. Can you all tell what my favorite color is? So once we have gotten the wrinkles out, I'm going to make sure my shirt is lined up where I want it. Once I have all the wrinkles out, I'm going to take my image and I'm just going to lay it down on my shirt where I want it. Then I'm going to cover it with butcher paper. And I'm going to press this for 30 to 35 seconds. Now, I have tried so many different times. I have tried different temperatures. I have tried warm peels. I have tried cold peels. What I have found works the absolute best is pre-press, make sure that your image is cooked great, and then pressing for 30 to 35 seconds with a cold peel. You do not want to peel this warm. The results that I have gotten are not good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this off. Now I suggest you wear heat resistant gloves because it may be a little hot, but I'm just coming from there to here. I like rubbing this on a cold surface like this marble countertop. So I'm just going to kind of rub this around. That takes that heat out of this image or out of this area a lot faster. So I'm going to rub it around, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm also going to rub it around on this side. Once this is cool to the touch, we are going to come in here and start peeling up our image. This is always the nerve-wracking part for me because the first couple times that we did this, it was terrible. And it just did not peel like it was supposed to. So it always makes me super nervous to peel this off. But y'all, look at that result. How beautiful is that? And on a 100% cotton t-shirt. I hope this has helped answer some of your questions because this is a new product to the sublimation world. Direct-to-fabric printing has been around for forever, but as far as using your sublimation printer for direct-to-fabric printing, it is still very new. Now, one thing I need to make sure you know, there is a difference with direct-to-fabric printing and sublimation. You still can't print white with sublimation like you can with direct-to-fabric, so you are going to have to use lighter colors or white or cream or bleach your shirts out, but the results are still amazing on 100% cotton t-shirts. Now, and it's a good one, y'all. This is a great sublimation project that we're going to be doing today. Yes. And really, I say sublimation, this project, we are going to be doing sublimation. However, this is something that Alicia wanted to bring you guys to really highlight how large you can do print and cut now. It's gigantic. If you know about sublimation, if you are familiar with it, you know that you don't have to do print and cut with sublimation. However, we were planning on doing this with the large Caesar DTV. It just didn't come in. So we are doing it with sublimation, but this can be done with the larger format printable HTV or the Caesar DTV specifically.
Yeah, and I don't know how many brands are coming out with the large format printable DTV, but Patrick over at Caesar had let us know that they were doing the big size. We just haven't received it yet. So I was like, if we get it, we'll use it. But we haven't got it yet. So I was like, we can still do sublimation and show you all how big. I mean, just to really see it like in person. Yes. When I first printed it off, I was like, I mean, we're printing this off on a 13 by 19 sheet of paper.
Right.
We're not, like, it doesn't go that big in Cricut Design Space. It only goes to like 11 by 17. But we're gonna do the full sheet. Like, it's gonna be as big as we can possibly get it to fit on a sweatshirt. So it's gonna be really exciting, and we haven't done it. There's a lot of stuff going on over here. Hello. This heat press is over here. I've already got it heating up. But it looks like we've kind of got a lot going on, and that's because we're using our Cricut. We are sublimating, and we need a sublimation printer in here. So, you know, if you get into sublimation, I feel like the tools that you use are just gigantic. They kind of take up, you know, they take up space. You got a heat press, you got a printer, and normally we've been using this Epson EcoTank. This is the 8550. Normally we use the Workforce, and I would argue that the Workforce printer is like much bigger. It's at least taller.
So, but the only thing with the Workforce printer that we have run into issues with is because it does take cartridges. It's a lot harder to refill those ink cartridges, and there's like, it runs the risk of firmware updating and not recognizing your cartridges and all this stuff. So we really, really enjoyed the EcoTank in general, whether it's the smaller EcoTank or the larger EcoTank.
Yes. So the Workforce printer, that's what we've kind of worked with forever, and you'll hear us talk about it and use it in past projects. We had one that kind of kicked the bucket. If you have converted your Epson Workforce and it asks you to update your firmware, just don't. Don't do it, because what happens is you update your firmware and then it doesn't recognize your ink cartridges. And so I didn't know that until I updated our firmware. I thought that maybe that's what's wrong. And so I did it, and then it doesn't recognize my cartridges, and then it voids your warranty. So, you know, converting it could really void your warranty anyways. So I don't really know why that would matter. But this one, this is like our little upgrade. Not only is it an upgrade, but it is a cheaper printer. So this one, I want to say it runs about $800.
Was it that expensive?
Yes, but that was full price on Office Max, from Office Max. So, and y'all know with inflation, like, printers are so expensive because no one's wanting to make them. Do you remember when printers were like not that expensive?
Yeah, but so the one thing that I do want to say is, if $800 is not in your price range right now, if you want to get into sublimation, don't let, just because you can't afford the biggest one, because like I said, this prints.
This is a wide format.
This prints 13 by 19.
Yeah.
So yes, it's nice to have that area to cover, but I have done a lot of projects where I piece together sublimation stuff, and it still works.
Yeah. So this is just like the Mac Daddy, but don't feel like this is the one you have to get. So you can there's smaller options available. And if you are interested after today and we do this craft with you and you're like, oh my gosh, sublimation seems so cool, and you do decide to take the sublimation course, we actually go through all the printers and like what printers work for who, and we help you decide what printer you need for yourself personally. So I think that that's really cool. But outside of that, let me kind of go over everything that you're going to need today. So if we can go overhead. So this is the sweatshirt that we're going to be sublimating on. Now, this is the Gildan Heavy Blend Adult Crew Neck Sweatshirt. It's a 50-50 blend. I would recommend a 60 or greater personally, but you can sublimate on a 50-50 blend. And yeah, this is 50% polyester, 50% cotton. So the higher the polyester content, the brighter and more vibrant your sublimation ink is going to show up whenever you go to sublimate. So this is 50%. Also, I find if you have a lower polyester content, when you go to wash it, it kind of fades your colors a little bit. Have you noticed that before?
It does, because it doesn't have as many synthetic fibers for that ink to hold on to. So it will, if you do, just be aware, if you sublimate on a 50-50 or less, it will look fine when you sublimate it. It will look
It'll
okay.
be bright, yeah. It won't be as great. But then when you go to wash, it will have more of a vintage look. Yes, it's like more of a washed look.
It's more of a vintage. So that's just letting you putting that out there.
Yeah, but this one you can purchase at Hobby Lobby, so that it's kind of nice because I could just go snag these up at Hobby Lobby if I need to. I did purchase some, like I think they were 100% polyester sweatshirts off of Amazon, and they were just like not it for me. They looked purple, like you know when something's so white and it looks
kind of gives it a UV look.
Yes, and a lot of times when you use 100% polyester items, they have a weird feel sometimes, and they are like super vibrant white. So I even like the washed look with this design today. I think it looks really cute, so I'm not mad about it. I'm gonna use a 50-50 mix, but I do recommend a little bit higher of a polyester percentage whenever you're shopping around for sublimation blanks. You cannot just go and buy a white sweatshirt and assume that you can sublimate on it. It has to have polyester in it in order for that sublimation ink to cling to the polyester fibers. So the polymers, if you will. So I've got the sweatshirt. I have our 13 by 19 paper here. This is what we're gonna be printing on today, and we are gonna fill this baby up as big as we can in order for our Cricut to be able to cut it. And then I have it's a light grip 12 by 24 mat. That's what you're gonna wanna use because we are cutting paper. And then I have a t-shirt guide. If you got on any of our deals, we had these little t-shirt guides in our swag bags. I've got a burnishing tool. This is great for sublimation. So this is what we use to get any extra lint on our shirts off before we actually apply heat so it doesn't discolor our shirts. I have some heat tape, a measuring tape, and then I've obviously got our clamshell heat press. Now, if you've got a regular like Cricut Easy Press, I'm gonna say, I don't know. Have you sublimated with a big heat press before? Like a manual one?
I have.
I've done it once or twice, but
So when I first started here, we did a blanket. It was a blanket full of pictures. So I think we only printed on the 8.5 by 11, and so
papers.
We used we had a bunch of different pictures, and that was an instance where I found that the Easy Press worked better than the clamshell press because I would have the pictures like laying flat on the floor, but then to pick up the pictures where I had placed them and put them in the clamshell with that big blanket didn't work.
Because you're going to be like moving the blanket.
Because I'm moving
so
I can just place the pictures on the floor and then come in with the press.
Yeah.
But with that being said, 9.5 times out of 10, 9 times out of 10, like you're going to use a heat press over
like a mini press.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to use a mini press for this. If you get into sublimation, you're going to want to invest in a really good heat press. And this clamshell press is something that we use for almost all of our sublimation projects. There's a few exceptions, obviously, like the blanket and things like that, where it's pieced together. But this is the StarCraft heat press, and I linked an alternative heat press for you all that is much cheaper. This is a very high end. This is probably like the highest end of a crafter's heat press that you could get.
But really and truly, we've used the other ones, and I mean, they work pretty much
It's
the
a
same.
heat source. If it can get as hot as you need it, if it can get to 375, like your gravy. So, and this one works really good for us. It's also a beautiful Tiffany blue. I love it. So I've got that. I've got the butcher's paper ready to go. And then we have the files. If they are not linked down below for you all yet, they will be on the website at some point today. We just had these designed specifically for this project because we were like, this is so cute. We have to do something like this for Mother's Day. I can't believe that Mother's Day is coming up.
I know.
I'm trying to think of what day is Mother's Day? It's May something. So anyways, let's go back onto Design Space. I'm going to go back. I was running some test prints earlier. Did I not bring our finished sweatshirt in here to show you guys in real life? It may be sitting right over there. So this is the image that we're working with today. Is this not the cutest ever? I am just like so obsessed with this image. It's so freaking cute. I am going to zoom out because we're going to pull this into Design Space. Thank you. Okay, let's go overhead. I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. Okay, so you just saw on the share screen what it looks like kind of in Design Space. So the colors are a little bit different, and that's because this is a 50-50 blend. So this is what we mean when we say you get more of a washed or like vintage look. You can tell it's a little bit more faded, but like still beautiful and perfect, I think. And then we've got the little hearts on the sleeve right here. Is that not so cute?
I know, I love this. And one thing that I want to let you guys know is it's in the works, right? Or did Mark get them uploaded?
I just let them know that they'll be uploaded.
Oh, you did? Yeah. I wasn't listening.
That's okay. Yeah, they should be uploaded. They may be partially uploaded right now. I saw one heart on the website before I came in here, but they'll be uploaded at some point today. And y'all, it's not just Mama.
That's what I was fixing to say. It's not just Mama.
I requested that we have like Grammy. I have my Ruby, her grandmother is Grams. So we've got Gigi, Nani. I mean, I think there's probably like 10 or 12. There's Granny, Grammy. I mean, all of the above. I tried to list as many as I possibly could. If I missed yours, I'm so sorry. Also, if I missed it after we upload the files, y'all let me know, especially if you're going to make it, because I want you to be able to have the one that you need. So anyways, let's go back into Design Space. So I'm going to go find this file in my uploads. Obviously, you all are going to have to get the file off of the website once it's updated. And we're just going to scroll down here. Look at little Asher. I'm going to add this to the canvas and then add my hearts to the canvas. We've got a Mimi, Nanny, I believe. I want to say we have a Nani, Erica, I hope. Meemaw, Sin. I don't know if we did a Meemaw. I can't remember them all. I'll have to look.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to delete these old ones because we don't need them. Delete, and I'm going to delete any of these layers that we're not using. I had pulled up my old file, so. Okay, so whenever you pull these in, she's also made, our designer, she separated all of these hearts, so you'll be able to download each individual heart color. You don't have to download the one with all 4 of them in it. But for the sake of today's video, we're going to kind of slice these away from each other. So let's just start there and kind of get all the parts that we need to work with. So we're only going to be using 2 hearts. You can use whatever color that you want. I'm just going to take a basic shape, just a circle, and I'm going to hover over top of my heart shape. And y'all, this is why I still love having the slice feature, because you can't use any of those new combined features to do this because it would get rid of all your other little hearts. Like if I wanted to do exclude or something, I couldn't do it because it would get rid of all my hearts. And I need them to just be separated from each other. So I'm going to select both layers and I'm going to delete any of the layers that I do not currently need. So you can see we've got this little heart, but these 3 are still connected. And so now I'm just going to go grab another circle and we're going to slice off whatever other color we want. So you're just going to pull that circle over top of it, and then you're going to select both layers and then hit slice and delete all of the layers that you do not want.
I love these letters so much, and we've had so many people that have asked us for different, very specific names.
Yeah.
I wonder if we should talk to our designer and see if we can get like an actual alphabet.
Oh, that'd be cute.
With these similar...
and so they can make
so
whatever.
They can make their own.
Yeah, that's a great idea. See, this is why we want y'all to tell us what you want, you know? That's a good idea. We should definitely do that. Okay, so I've got my little hearts. Let's go ahead and resize our hearts while we're working on it. And what I like to do before I resize them in Design Space, I want to make sure that they are the correct size for where they're going on my sweatshirt. So these are going to be going on the sleeve, but I don't want them to be gigantic, okay? Like I want them to be a good size where Mama can read them or Grammy can read them, but they don't need to be like 5 inches wide. You know what I'm saying? We don't want them to be that big. So, I mean, if you do, listen, it's your sweatshirt. You can do what you want. But I'm thinking like 3 inches. So it's just about that big, okay? So back in Design Space, I'm going to select one, and then up here, I'm just going to change the width to 3 inches Make sure that your shape is locked so you don't lose the heart shape. Otherwise, it's going to warp everything. And then I'm going to select the other one, and we're going to change that to 3 as well. Is everybody with me? Good? Okay, let's zoom into our hearts. Let me zoom in one more time. Okay, now we need to add the names that we want to these fonts. So let's do Blair and Wade because I messed up this first sweatshirt, and I'm going to show you guys what I did here in a second when we go to press it. I'm going to tell you what not to do. Don't be like me. I'm going to type in Blair. And she's named after...
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl. Any Gossip Girl fans? Tabitha named her daughter Blair after Blair Waldorf. I don't watch Gossip Girl. Do you watch it?
I've never watched it either.
My mom got really into it for like ever, and I just never watched it. I call Amber Light Amaryllis all the time. So the font is Amber Light that we're using today. And so whenever you guys use this font, a lot of times it is not kerned. And so what you're gonna need to do whenever you type this out, please, for the love, don't leave it like this, okay? Whenever you do this project and you go to make it, just hear me in your ear saying, don't leave spaces. Turn your letters.
Turn your letters. Make them touch.
Make your letters touch or else. Okay, and so you can manually just kind of hit this down arrow on the letter space. But what I like to do is go to Advanced and ungroup to letters. And so you can select the portion of letters that you want to touch and kind of move them around that way. So I'm just using the arrows on my keyboard to manually move each individual letter or set of letters, just like so. And most of our fonts are not like this. This Amber Light, honestly, is like the only one I can even think of that does this. And it's an older font, but an oldie but a goodie. And we use it for everything because it's such a cute handwritten font.
Yes.
It's very much our style, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so once you get it where you want, you're gonna need to select it all. And I like to unite it. So it's like one little unit. You can also attach it. It's gonna do the same thing. And whenever you pull a text into Design Space, it's gray. I don't want it to be gray. I want it to be black like the outlines of my heart. So I'm going to change it to black. It doesn't look like that much, but it matches a lot better if you adjust that, just that little thing. It's all in details, you know? And then I'm just gonna shrink it to fit within our heart, like so, okay? Cutie.
Love it.
Cutesy. Okay, and then we're gonna do Wade. So just make a new text box, W-A-D-E. Let's advanced and ungroup to letters. And that A doesn't have to touch the W, but I am gonna scooch it a little bit closer. You can also just click these letters and move them around. Cute.
Cute.
Cute, cute. We're gonna combine it and hit Unite, and then we will change this to black. And then we can resize it and put it right inside our little heart. So cute. Okay, so I've got the names on here, but they are, what you're gonna do is make sure that they're exactly where you want them first. And I'm gonna click and drag and make sure that the name and the heart are selected. And then we're going to flatten them together. This is gonna make them a cohesive print and cut image. And so you can see in our layers panel, the name, I don't know if y'all can see from that far, but there's like the name and the heart and it's all on one layer. And so this is gonna allow our Cricut to know that it doesn't need to cut out the name separately from the heart. It just thinks it needs to cut around the heart. And I also do not want this to cut right up next to the heart. So I am gonna add a slight offset in white. So we won't even be able to see it, but I do want it to cut with like, I don't know, like a 1/4 inch allowance all the way around. So make sure you have your flattened image selected, and we're gonna add a small offset, like a 0.15 offset. And I'm gonna hit apply, and we're gonna change that to white, okay? And then you can click and drag and select the offset layer as well as the print and cut layer, and we're gonna flatten that. And so this is gonna just cut where the offset was. Does that make sense to everybody?
Now this is gonna be really, really important. That step is gonna be very important if you do this with printable HTV.
Yes.
It doesn't matter as much with sublimation, but it's very, very important if you're doing it with printable HTV.
Yes. And yeah, we're going to do an extra large printable HTV video because it is a little bit different in this way. Like this is a perfect time where it's going to be completely different too. So we'll try to get that prepared for you guys. As soon as that stuff comes in, we're making a video because I've been wanting to do a big printable DTV video. So again, let's do it with the Blair heart. So we're going to select both layers. So the name and the heart layer, you're going to flatten it. So it's one layer. We're going to add an offset, just a 0.15 offset. Hit apply. I'm going to change it to white. You can't see it. Make sure you select both layers, both the offset and the print and cut layer, and then we're going to flatten that again. And so it's not going to cut right up on our heart. It's going to cut a 0.15 inches away from our heart. And so you can even see when I pull that behind there, that little white, and I can change the canvas. Let me change the canvas color to like this light gray. So it's going to cut that white part, okay? So let's zoom out. Now that we've got that, we're good to go. Those are fine. We're just going to kind of leave them over here to the side. And now we can work on the mama part. So let's go back overhead and we're going to measure our sweatshirt. Make sure that we get it as big or as small as we want it. We want it big though, because I want to print this really big. I don't know why it's so exciting for me to print such gigantic things, but it's just fun. When we first did it, I was like, this is awesome. Like, this is so cool. Okay, so can y'all see that pretty good? Okay. And so I like, when I'm doing big sweatshirts like this, I try not to go further than the mid region of the shoulders. So like, I don't want to go out this wide. I want to kind of live no wider than the mid distance of the shoulders, if that makes sense. And so when I'm going to measure where I want it, I don't want to go, like I want to make this as big as I possibly can. And I feel like 13, like 12.5 or 13 is about as wide as I want to go. Now, if you started going like 16, no. It's going to be way too wide, and when they wear it, you're not going to be able to see it as well. So I'm thinking 12.5 or 13 wide. So let's go back into Design Space. And you can see right now it's on 16. So let's just adjust this to 12.5. And look, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about earlier. If your image is not locked, it's going to warp your image. So let me undo it so y'all can see what it did look like. Okay. Do not, just make sure that your image is locked. So right now, if I go to change this to 12.5, it's locked now. That's weird. It locked itself. I've never seen it do that before. Anyways, just make sure that this little lock button is locked and it doesn't look like this when you're going to resize your image. It needs to look like that when you go to resize. So now that we've done that, what I'm going to do next is add an offset to this. So I want it to cut all the way around everything. I do not want it to cut out the individual letters. I just want it to cut out around the entire thing. So I'm going to go up to our offset, and you can see in the preview that there are small gaps in between here. It's okay if we have a few little gaps, but I think I want to make this a little bit bigger so there's less. And then we can contour out any gaps that we really don't need. Let's do 0.35 and see what happens. Okay, that's good. And then I'm going to hit apply. I'm going to change this to white. Okay, now I want to kind of get rid of these little gaps in here. I just don't need it. Like, I don't need it to cut that portion. So I'm going to go to my offset, just select the offset layer in your layers panel. We're going to go up here to operation and change it to the basic cut function. Okay, y'all with me? And then we're going to go back down to contour, and we're going to hide all contours. And so now it's just a solid outline of everything. And I want to change it back to white just so you guys can still have the visual, but it's only going to cut all the way around all of this, and it's not going to get up in here and try to cut all that. Like, we don't need any unnecessary cuts because I want this to be a really like solid piece of paper. that makes sense. And so I'm just gonna select both layers and flatten those. And that's it. Also, that reminded me of something, Carol. So earlier, I was just kind of running through what we were gonna be doing today, and I was like, why is it not letting me select the larger paper size? You all have to be in the beta version to do the large format print and cut. I don't know when they're gonna take it out of the beta version, because I feel like they've had this update for what, it's been like 3 or 4 weeks or more.
I feel like it's been a while.
I feel like it has been too. And so I thought, oh, it's surely on the regular live version. So if you're trying to complete this project and you're like, it doesn't give me the large format page options, make sure that you all are making this project in the beta version. So what you're gonna need to do to get there is go to these 3 lines on the top left, just click on that, and then you're gonna go to settings. And so you can see right here, application experience, beta or live, click on beta, and then hit done. And then it's gonna restart Cricut Design Space. So
what are the dimensions of the new biggest print and cut?
How big does it do it? 11 by 17.
Okay.
Why?
Because I'm in the live version.
Okay, and it's letting you?
It seems to be.
So
No.
it's not gonna let you.
Wait, hold on. Or change paper size.
Okay.
It only gives me A4 letter.
Yep.
So you are right.
Yep, you've got to be in the beta version.
You have to be in beta.
So I'm sure that'll go away soon, but if you're trying to do it and you're like, it doesn't let me do it that big, it's giving me an error, make sure you're in the beta version first. Okay, we've got everything. She's cute, she's gorgeous. Now we get to print. I'm so excited. So what we're gonna do next is go to make it. Yes, Renee, make sure you save your work before you switch and restart. So if you need to switch to the beta version, save your project and then switch, because it will update Cricut Design Space. Okay, guys, so this is the new print and cut area, first of all.
What?
It's gigantic. There's so much room for activities. There's so much room. And so what's really nice is that I have so much room to move this around. So normally the bounding box was all the way around here, so you couldn't even butt it up to the edges. Well, Cricut got smart and realized they just need registration marks in the corners. Who would have thunk it? And so that's what they've done here. So I can move this around wherever I want. And what's also gonna be really nice is I can take these hearts over here and I can move them to my other sheet. And so we really don't have to waste a whole nother sheet of paper just for these 2 little hearts. So if you wanna do that, you just need to click on the image, select the 3 dots, and we're gonna move the object. And I'm gonna select this one so that we can put all of this stuff on here together. I am gonna remember that there is an offset all the way around this, so make sure that you're not pulling it in and butting it up right here, because you may run into accidentally cutting through your heart. So I'm gonna kind of space them out. I wish you could change the color of the print and cut background just so you could see it, but it is what it is. And then I'm gonna move this one to the other one as well. And if you need to, you can even like rotate them to fit whatever you need to do to make it work. Okay, cute, right? Okay. So we're not completely done because we are sublimating. We need to make sure that everything that we're printing is a mirrored image. And so right now it's not. So what I'm gonna do is select mirror over here on the left, and that went ahead and mirrored everything. It just kind of flipped it backwards for me. So also, you can go here to select your different material sizes. I'm just using the biggest as possible. We are printing on technically we're printing on a 13 by 19 sheet, but it's gonna print as if it were like 11 by 17. Hopefully that doesn't confuse anybody. So everything's mirrored. You have to mirror your images if you're sublimating, because you print it mirrored and then you lay it down onto the sweatshirt or whatever you're sublimating on, and then it goes to the correct direction, if that makes sense. And so all you're gonna need to do next is select continue, and we are going to send to printer. We're using the Epson ET 8550, and I do not need a bleed on this project. The only time I would need a bleed on anything is if I need my color to go all the way to the edges, and we do not want that here. So I'm gonna turn the bleed off. We're gonna use our system dialog. I'm in such a habit of doing this, regardless of if I'm doing sublimation or anything. I always print from system dialog because you can adjust the settings. And so I'm gonna hit print and it's gonna load. If you're using a Mac, a lot of times the dialog box will pop up behind a Cricut Design Space. So you may be sitting here like, what the heck? It's loading, like where is it? Pull down Cricut Design Space and there it is. And so now we're gonna feed this from the rear tray, and we're gonna select best quality, always. Rear tray, best quality, it's like good as gold.
Yes.
But okay, so I've got my printer in the rear tray. I'm gonna go ahead and select print, and let me make sure it's picking up what I'm putting down up here. It sounds like its brain's going, so let's hope. Okay, while that's printing, I'm just gonna take this lint roller, and I wanna get off any linty bits off of this that I can. And I will say these Gildan sweatshirts are bad for having like lots of little lint, and I can't always get all of it, which I hate, but I try to get as much as I can. Because whenever we go to sublimate, if you've got little pieces of lint all over, it turns them to these like little blue fuzzies, and they're so annoying, and they'll be all over your all over your piece. So I'm gonna try to avoid that at all costs. So just lint roll that really good. And then let's just see here. Okay, this is our image. So pretty cool, right? It looks a little bit light, but often, not often, every time when you print with sublimation ink, it looks a lot lighter on the paper. And then when you sublimate it, the colors darken up. So you can see like this is the finished one that we did. And you can see there's quite a bit of difference. And so now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sit my sweatshirt to the side for a minute. There we go. And then I'm going to line this up. I know that you guys can't see everything I'm doing, but I'm trying to make sure that we're in view here. So I'm just gonna line this up as well as I can. Okay. Make sure, and then, so there's gonna be some excess paper. I'm just gonna take a true control knife or like an X-Acto knife and trim all of that off so it doesn't get caught up in our Cricut. Okay, make sure you're not cutting over those registration boxes. The Cricut needs those to read as it cuts. So we're just gonna do it like that. I'm gonna take my burnishing tool. I should have brought the brayer in here. Oh, I have it. Okay, a brayer is really good for this because you don't wanna scrape over the sublimation ink. This brayer is just gonna kind of roll right over top of everything and make sure that your paper is gonna stay stuck down really well. Okay, now, if you sublimate already and you're like, why in the world are they cutting this with a Cricut? For the sake of cutting it this big, and honestly, it's kind of satisfying to have a really neat cutout of whatever you're doing, because normally, like when we sublimate, we would just rip our design out of the paper. So it's kind of cool to do it, you know, with the Cricut. So, and like we were saying earlier, this would be a really good printable DTV project as well. So I'm just gonna slide this in. Okay, and let's go back into Design Space. And we need to set our base material. Oops. So this is just like, you could do like a copy paper. Let's type in paper. You can see there's a lot. This is a pretty thin paper. We'll just do like a 20-pound copy paper and then hit done. And we're just using a fine point blade today. Okay, so it's gonna measure our mat all the way. Oh no, why is it saying that? So it's saying it can't read my print then cut marks. I'm gonna try to do it again. Hold on, it's loading. The machine's doing something super sketch over here, like the lights were going off weird. Let's just try to recut it. I'm gonna set it as paper.
I wonder if it's because the ink is light.
It's very possible. But you could see the black just fine. I didn't have any issues before. Okay, let's hit play. We shall see. And you know, also I'll say we're using Design Space in the beta version. The beta version is not the best version. So it may have extra features because it's like trial features. A lot of times they don't work as well as when they're like fully a live version of something. So it could simply be that. Since it's not working, let's try something. Let's try to troubleshoot a little bit. So can y'all see like kind of how this is set to the side? I didn't want to trim my left side because I wanted it to line up as perfectly as it would. What would you think if I trimmed this left side and then moved it over a little bit? Should we try it? Because if it doesn't work, we can always cut this out by hand. You know what I'm saying? I'm wondering if it's because we're in the beta version that it's not working. Can y'all see what I'm doing? I'm gonna trim this left side and I'm just gonna line this up to the top left corner. We're going rogue, everybody. That was like the straightest cut I've ever made in my life. Well, it wasn't that straight, but just Sadie's laughing at me. Okay, I'm gonna pull this up and move it over to the left. So I always like to line my print and cuts up as accurately as possible. That's why I didn't want to cut my top left edge, but you know what? We're winging it because it's not gonna read it anyways. I'm gonna line this up and then we can take our brayer. Okay, let's try it. Uno más. One more. Okay. And let me set my base material to copy paper again. All right. It's going to read the registration marks and then it'll have us hit go. Mine did the same thing a few days ago. I just saved my project and then it read it the next time I tried it. How strange. Were you in the beta version, Carol? I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. Okay, let's see if it works this time. Everybody cross your fingers, hold your breath. I feel like it's already doing more than it did. Is that just me?
It is.
Okay. We're figuring it out, people. This is real life stuff. The first time that I did this, I just printed it, put it on there, trimmed the right edge, and it was like, oh, okay, got it. This time it's like, no, you're on a live stream. Why would I work correctly? Sweet baby Jesus. It's working. It's a Christmas miracle.
Chrysler miracle.
I really did not think it was going to work. I was like, well, I'm going to have to cut this out by hand. Okay, so it worked, you guys. So make sure, I think that registration border needs to be as close to that top left edge as it possibly can. It's going to read the registration box and know where to cut. So the fact that I cut that off, that left side off, doesn't really affect anything. So that's kind of nice. Oh, yeah. This is good. This is good. So while that's cutting, I'm going to go ahead and put some butcher paper down on the bottom. Maybe. Okie dokie. Now, let's pull this out. So whenever you're pulling paper off of your mat, we like to go with gravity. So I'm gonna flip my mat over this way, and I'm just gonna pop these off. I just don't want them to curl up a lot. That way it lays flat on my shirt. Okay, and then we've got our little Blair. Y'all, look how much, we used almost all, that whole sheet.
That's crazy.
I love it. Okay, so we've got all of our little pieces here. So cute. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and lay my sweatshirt out. I'm running out of space, everybody. So just lay this out as flat and straight as you possibly can. And go ahead and grab your t-shirt ruler. Okay, I'm gonna line this up with the center of my shirt, just like that at the collar. And we're gonna press the mama part. So I'm gonna line my mama up with the bottom of that t-shirt guide. And then this will kind of be, actually, Lauren, do you feel like that's too high up, like from your view?
My stuff must be
it's delayed.
Because you're not putting it, it's not on there yet.
I feel like I should come down a hair.
So you were gonna you put the mama up there next to it? Oh yeah, that's too high.
Right, well, so I had it up here, and I feel like that's way too high. So I'm feeling like that looks good. Let's take that off and see. Yeah, I like that.
You're still a taper.
I'm what?
You still tape?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, Lauren's not a taper. That's what she's calling me, a taper, because I tape my design down. Lauren uses our Condi spray. Is it Condi?
Yeah.
I've never used it. I'm admitting that right now. I'm just old school, you know what I'm saying? But the Condi spray is really good. So what we're talking about is a spray, and you spray it on the front of the sublimation. So we would spray it on the front where the ink is, and then you can stick it to your piece, like your shirt, your blank, whatever, and it like adheres your sublimation paper down, but then it doesn't allow the paper to stick even after it's pressed under the heat. I'll do it on the hearts.
No.
I haven't used it. I should use it.
I would rather you tape the hearts.
Would you? So you think bigger areas are better for the spray? Just because it's not going to be able to lift or anything like that. Like if it's sticky, it's not going to lift. Well.
But I mean, the press, that's what the press is for too.
Right, the press does that part. But it does help when you're like transitioning from here to here. Okay. Now, so I've got my butcher paper down. I've got everything taped down. I want y'all to know, when I first started sublimating, I would have taped the dickens out of this.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you have? I mean, I would tape everything. I was like, no edge left untaped. I would never do that. Okay, and then get another piece. Okay. We're gonna lay this right on top. Make sure your design is completely in the press and it's not sitting on the edges. Watch this because it's very hot. We're gonna press this for 60 seconds. Firm pressure.
Yep.
I had this set on 80 seconds, so don't let me forget. I'm not gonna start talking about this because then I'll sublimate it for 80 seconds instead of 60.
Okay.
We don't wanna do that.
Not throwing you off then.
But we will talk about that Condi spray because it's good stuff.
Aunt Nikki's craft room said, did the spray not leave a residue? No.
It doesn't. That's the coolest part.
It does not at all.
Ugh. Okay. She's crispy. Put that under there. Okay. Ooh. I'll do the big reveal
Now,
over
it
here.
does leave a residue on your fingers for a minute.
Yes, it's a wee bit sticky.
But the heat, it's like the heat evaporates everything. Did you just blow those off the table?
Yes. Hold on. I need these. All right, big reveal time. Who's ready? I'm not. I'm nervous. I'm just kidding. Okay, here we go. Ooh, she's crispy.
So crispy.
So crispy. Oh, man, that looks good. That's a 10 out of 10. Okay. Now, so for this part, this is the sleeves part. You can do this on the left or the right sleeve, whichever one that you prefer. Just be conscious of where you are putting the heart. So let me just show you guys what I did, okay? I was in a hurry. And I didn't want to get the heat press. I didn't want to turn the heat press on because I had already had it on all day. And I was like, I'm just going to use the mini press. I'm just going to use a little, or it wasn't the mini press. It was the
easy press, like the 9x9.
Yeah, it was like the small one. Look at this. And I tried to fix it. So you can tell that I tried to fix it. I had pressed it on a seam. And then when I noticed that it messed up, I went and cut off the edge of the heart and tried to like butt it up and like repress it again. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't try to press anything on a seam or it's going to be, because what I had done is flattened it out like this. And so that seam was back here. And I thought that I had the hearts over to the left enough to where that seam would not get pressed. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't far enough over. So anyways, I repressed it on this side, right here. Okay, and it looked just fine. So what you're gonna wanna do whenever you press these, or place these, I should say, let me move this one out of the way. You're gonna wanna press them kind of like here. And so it kind of sits on like this part of your arm so people can read it. It's really up to you all where you wanna specifically place them. That's just where I think it looks the cutest. And then what we're gonna do is just place them. And now you can kind of tilt them like back and forth if you want. And we're just going to add a little bit of tape. Okay, here we go. Yes, make sure you're lint rolling everything. We even like lint roll tumblers and everything. You just want to make sure there's no residue.
Because there are things that, like small pieces of material that you would never think would be on something, but once sublimated, I don't know why, it just leaves I don't know, it leaves like a residue.
It exposes your sins.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm gonna keep that bottom piece of butcher's and rip off a new piece. Okay, we're just gonna place this right here. I'm gonna kind of hold the sweatshirt so it doesn't fall. And we're gonna slide this new piece in. We're gonna press this for the same time, 60 seconds at 375. All right, I agree. And the keys to sublimation are pressure and heat. So you really wanna be able to apply even, consistent pressure over the entire surface. Can y'all see that? Okay, so go ahead and pull these off. Ooh, so cute. I love this blue color. It's like my fave color. Oh, how cute. Okay, let's show the big reveal.
I love it.
Look how cute. And then it's got like the little sleeve. It's got the little sleeve. Y'all, this is the cutest. If you're trying to figure out a gift for somebody, this is it. This is the one. I love it.
If you do a lot of sublimating on the sleeve has become a very, very hot seller here in the last little bit.
Been seeing puff vinyl on sleeves and like with words of affirmation like, you are capable or you're strong or whatever. Yeah. But they'll have like little puff vinyl or even like HTV on the sleeves. So cute. You can look on Etsy for inspo ideas. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That would be really cute with a little, like where the black is, if you put puff HTV on top of that.
It would. Oh, we should do that for a project.
I'm so excited for you all to see these absolutely amazing hacks that Alicia has been working so hard to bring you guys.
Yes.
Y'all, if you are ready to learn some sublimating hacks, we have them for you.
These are like the ones.
They are like, we have been sublimating for a while now.
Yeah.
And these are like, take your sublimation from here to here. Like it takes it to the next game, to the next level.
The next game.
The next game, definitely the next game.
I wanted to bring you guys like the best tips, all of the sublimation hacks that I could possibly think of to fit within an hour. I'm like, we need to get started. All right, let's go. I've got about 10 here. So I just wanted to start with some like basic ones and then kind of work into more ones that you might not have heard of or more not difficult ones because none of these are really difficult. And honestly, if you can get your time settings and heat settings down for sublimation, the process of sublimating is not that hard. It's actually a very simple craft.
Yes.
I don't feel like there's a lot of things you need to know, but there's a lot of testing that goes into the materials you use, things like that. So I'm just gonna start over here. I'm gonna start with our simple thing. So the first simple hack that I have for you guys is using a burnishing tool. So this is a burnishing tool, and you guys probably already do this whenever you are laying down like permanent vinyl onto it. Like if you do permanent vinyl on a tumbler, this is to hold your paper. Like if you're gonna wrap your template around your, maybe we'll go overhead. Can you see this overhead, Sadie? If you're wanting to wrap a template around a tumbler, this is a really good way to hold that tumbler in place. So it's not like if I just try to do this here, it's gonna try to roll around. Whenever you put it on here, it's just gonna stay like right where you put it. So that's like a simple hack. So whenever you wanna start doing your tape, I feel like getting that starting point on your template sometimes can be a little hard if you don't have like a steady tumbler. So that is great for that. That is super simple hack. Another one, and I'll show you guys, actually I'll just show you right now, right here with this, is whenever you are applying your templates onto your tumblers, you're gonna have this seam right here. So what you can do whenever you bring that seam together to ensure that you don't get ghosting. Now ghosting is when those fumes kind of seep out from behind the paper, and it looks like, I wish I brought a mug up here that had well,
there's not a mug, but look, pick up that koozie, that side.
Yes.
There you go.
Right here. This is ghosting. Can they see that, Sadie? Right here. Okay. Where that E faded off, that's ghosting. So either I didn't tape it down, there wasn't enough pressure on the paper, different things can cause it. But what you can do whenever you're doing your tumbler wraps, and you've got this tape right up the middle, so you're gonna wanna tape your seams down. And if you start making tumblers, this is gonna make a lot more sense to you, I think. But this is a straight up and down tumbler. So what you can do is apply your tape, and you wanna always apply your tape, this is just a side note, you wanna always apply your tape with as little wrinkles as possible. And then once it's laid down flat, you're gonna run your fingernail over the seam. So let me get this down flat for you guys.
While you're doing that, I have a couple people, there was someone asked if we thought that the sublimation course was for someone who has been sublimating for a while. So one of the things, we've had a lot of people that have been sublimating for a while that still bought the course and said that they learned stuff, they learned new things
that they didn't know before.
Throughout the class that they didn't know before, absolutely. Yeah. We also had someone ask, do we think that sublimation is going to be the next big thing for crafters? The craft world is ever changing, and I love that about the craft world because I love learning new things. I love trying different things. In our area, in the southeast area, sublimation has started becoming bigger.
Oh yeah.
I do think it is going to start catching on other places. Mm-hmm. And it was somebody said that they were retiring and that they were thinking about breaking into this to kind of supplement their retirement income. And if they said that there was no one in their area to do it, this is a great market to break into.
Absolutely.
You may have to take a couple, it may have to take you like teaching people what it is before they truly understand, but it would be an absolutely great area to break into if there is no one else in your area doing it.
Absolutely. So whenever you guys get your tape on here, if you can see, this is where the paper meets. All I'm gonna do is run my thumb up and down this seam line where the paper meets. And you just wanna do that so that it seals it in really well. And honestly, I did not a great job down here at the bottom. But normally it's gonna meet, your paper's gonna meet right here. So you wanna press that down as good as you can and make sure no air is gonna be able to escape that seam line so you won't get any ghosting.
And yes, the paper needs to be absolutely as tight as you can get it.
As tight as possible, yes.
And a lot of the tumblers now will come with a shrink wrap. At first, we didn't use shrink wrap. We just taped it. Tape, and more tape. If you don't think you have enough tape, tape some more. Yeah. But we also started using the shrink wrap.
Yeah. Okay, let's just go on to the next one.
Let's do that.
This is my favorite one. I know we're doing it second. I was going to try to save it for last, but you're talking about it, and I can't help it. Okay, so ahead of me, if you're looking in front, these look pretty good. These both look great to me.
They look good.
Yes, they look good. Let's go overhead. I want to show you guys the difference here. And if you sublimate already, you may know why these are different. Can you guys see that this one right here is a little bit fuzzier than this one. Tell me if you can tell the difference. I want to know, because what we did, so this one was this was sublimated just like in a convection oven. We did the tumbler wrap, we stuck it in for 4 minutes, did like the whole normal process. The difference is here, we wrapped our template just like we did on the first one. We used shrink wrap.
And I don't think they're ready for this next part. This next part is going to blow your all's mind.
Yeah, like why it works, I don't know. But we used shrink wrap immediately out of the oven. We put it in there at 400 degrees for 4 minutes, immediately out of the oven. I've tossed this into ice cold water. I put it in a bucket of ice cold water. I completely submerged the entire thing. I did not take any wrapping off of it or nothing. I literally just dumped it down in there and let it sit and let it cool down. And then I pulled it out and it looks like this. So same settings, all of that. And you can even see in the letters are more fuzzy on this one opposed to this one. So you can see how much crispier our ice tumbler turned out. So I think that's amazing.
Listen, so what the ice water does, or what that ice cold water will do, is it actually stops the process of the sublimation. So if it's still hot, that gas is there's still an exchange with that gas between your blank and your paper.
Yes.
So when you stick it into the ice water, right there, it stops that, so there's no more gas exchange.
It's basically, imagine if you didn't put it in the ice, those particles are still kind of floating around trying to find their final destination.
Yes.
The freeze is like, nope, you're going right here. And that's why it looks so good. And also, a lot of people were talking about the shrink wrap and like, can it go in the convection oven? Yes, I have another hack for you guys. I have butcher's paper right here. If you sublimate, this is like on your to-do list. Get butcher paper. You're going to need it for literally everything.
You can act within my research of coming up with prices for tomorrow. Butcher paper was like $16. Now, it was not the big roll, but it was at least a roll to get you started. It's $16 on Amazon.
It's not bad, and it lasts for like ever. So what you can do when you open your convection oven, and you can take copy paper to do this, but if you're sublimating, you're going to have butcher paper on hand. All I did was slide this in the bottom of my convection oven. It gets a little crispy, it gets a little brown. Only put it in right before you're going to use it and take it out right when you're done. So don't let this like sit in there. Obviously, it's going to catch on fire. Do not do that. But that prevents the shrink wrap from melting to the bottom of your convection oven. So there's another little hack for you guys.
Nikki
so
said the ice bath was the same thing you do with hard-boiled eggs. Exact same concept.
Yep.
Exact same concept. It stops them from cooking or continuing.
Yep.
It is the exact same concept. And we think it does come out more crisp. Someone asked if it came out more crisp because of the shrink wrap or the ice bath. I really think it's a little bit of both, because that pressure.
From the shrink wrap,
we don't have a tumbler press, like a specific. I know I was seeing that there are a lot of tumbler presses that you can buy as an addition for your heat press. We don't have a tumbler press. We've always used the convection oven.
Yes.
Which has worked good. So somebody asked if we would use the shrink wrap if you had the tumbler press.
I mean, I don't know.
We can't say one way or the other because we've never used a tumbler press.
We haven't been able to actually practice with that, but I would love to I would love to try it. I'm seeing silicone wraps up here. I feel like that might be beneficial in a heat press.
A silicone mat in the bottom of your convection oven, if you don't want to use your butcher paper too, would work.
Even like those silicone trivets that they have, you could just keep it in there. Just keep it in there. Like that's your standard little mat. That way you don't have to put the paper in there. Parchment paper, no. Butcher paper only. Just if you use any other kind of paper, there's going to be like a wax film. Some kind of film is going to be on almost any other type of paper. Just stick to butcher paper. And the shrink wrap, yes, it does help eliminate ghosting at the top and bottom.
Susan,
and you can see.
Yeah. Susan said, can you do this with mugs that you sublimate in the convection oven? Absolutely.
Yeah. And if we go overhead, I want you guys to see, you tell me which one looks better. This one. Because this one had shrink wrap. This one didn't, and it ghosted at the top. So this one was taped. This one was shrink wrapped. So that answers your question there. I feel like, and you can still get like a really good, positive product. Like it's still gonna look good, but like it's gonna look flawless if you do the shrink wrap and the ice.
And like I said, the craft world is ever changing. We did not, we thought that at first, we thought, you know, shrink wrap, we can get the same effect. We don't need to use a shrink wrap. But the shrink wrap,
it really did.
After trying it and testing it, really does make the difference that we have seen. And yes, you do have to shrink it before you put it in the oven.
Yes. The shrink wrap usually comes with the tumblers that you purchase. Like every time I have ordered blank tumblers, it comes with a pack of shrink wrap, literally in there. So it should be included. If you buy Sublimation tumblers, it should be in your box, ready to use, because they recommend that you do that anyways.
Right.
Do you lay your cups on the side or keep them standing up? And do you rotate it at 2 minutes? I stand them up and I rotate them at 2 minutes. Yes. So, and we go into more like heat settings for different projects in the course. But for the tumblers, 400, 2 minutes, rotate, 2 minutes, pull it out, dunk it in the ice, and you're good to go. But love that hack. That's one of my favorites. I'm going to move this to the side just so I know that I went over it already. Another thing, let's do, which one should we do? Our heat gun hack?
Real quick, we've got a lot of people asking about taping if we use the shrink wrap. So we still tape. You may not have to use as much tape as if you're not using the shrink wrap, but it's still going to be important to tape that down because that shrink wrap, and it's, I know you all have been asking where we get it. Literally, the tumblers that we have linked that we purchase come with it. Other than that, I'm sure they have shrink wrap that you can buy if you just Google it on Amazon. But what you do is it's a sleeve, and you set that sleeve over top of the cup. So it has to be taped, otherwise there's a chance of that paper moving.
Yes. So yeah, the paper, definitely always tape it, and that shrink wrap's going to go on there. If you've got a heat gun, even a hair dryer is going to shrink the shrink wrap around it. So just blow, like I've got the heat gun sitting right here. I just use this heat gun over the shrink wrap, and it literally just, you know, like slicks it all in.
Yep.
So that's all you need for that. Aprilla's saying that she, or he, I'm sorry, I just assumed. They laid down the tumbler, but they didn't turn them and they came out even. They laid them on parchment paper. So we use butcher paper. That just feels safe to me.
Yeah.
And you guys will come up with your own ways to do things. Like if you feel better laying your tumblers down as opposed to standing them up, whatever's going to work for you. And sublimation's a lot of trial and error. We have done and made a lot of mistakes, including today. We've made mistakes today, practicing some things. Lauren, yes. Lauren was having issues with the sublimation project. Oh, but anyways, it's just a lot of trial and error. So that's, you know, it's just going to be whatever you feel more comfortable with and whatever works with the equipment that you have. You know, if you have a different convection oven that's bigger or whatever, you know, there's going to be different scenarios that you need to use different supplies. So the next hack that I've got is the heat gun hack. So this is just like a standard heat gun. I used this. If you guys watched, what is the title of that video? We did the terrazzo. It was alive.
Yeah.
We did a terrazzo tumbler. There were, why didn't I bring that tumbler in here? There were little spots all over the tumbler. The pattern that we used was not a seamless pattern. So whenever you guys get like patterns in, I think in our course, all of our patterns are seamless. In the sublimation course, I won't promise that, but
yeah, they should be.
Yeah, they should be. If it's a full tumbler wrap, it should be seamless. But sometimes if you purchase like some kind of pattern, or if you print a picture or something and you want just a small area sublimated, but you've already done your entire mug and you're like, oh my gosh, there's this one little area. You can tape a piece of the printed sublimation paper of whatever the picture is that you want, and you can run the heat gun over it and it will sublimate onto your cup. So you can actually like tape it down and only sublimate in like a small area. You don't have to do an entire like mug press, or you don't have to repress it, if that makes sense. I feel like I didn't explain that really well. So if you guys have questions about that, let me know. But the terrazzo tumbler, it had like little tiny stones all over it. So
where's it at? And I'll see if I can go grab it.
There's like 5 right there.
Okay, let me grab it.
I meant to grab it before we started. But there's little rocks all over it, and there were holes. They're right on this left shelf, Lauren. In the box, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
And so what we did, we just taped one stone onto the terrazzo tumbler, and then I took the heat gun right over that single stone, and it literally just sublimates it on there. I can show them just
That's not them. I think this is the one that we did.
Oh, is this the one we added one on?
So.
Okay. So if we go overhead, you guys can probably see. I did like 6 of these terrazzo tumblers just to get it right. But you can see, like, I had some overlap with my paper right here. So to prevent that, what we did was just kind of cut around these stones right here, and then we cut around these. And then I had big white open gaps. And what I did was cut out individual stones from another printout, and I would just tape them on here and then take the heat gun over it, and it would just sublimate that one stone. Does that make sense now? I feel like that helps.
Yeah, I think that
to
helps.
give a visual, yeah.
We have had a couple people that have asked, are we going to update the sublimation course when changes occur? Yes, we try our best to keep everything updated.
Oh, yeah.
As things change, so that will be updated as well.
Yes, yes. Am I missing any other questions? I know you're on top of it, so I trust if there's anything, just let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna go on to the next one. So this is one that I just learned, and Courtney actually told me about this, and Lauren helped me figure out, because I was like, I don't know. I guess I have sublimated on neoprene, but I didn't realize this before. So what I have done here, whenever you sublimate on neoprene, neoprene's like the stretchy, what else is in neoprene? Koozies typically is what uses it, like the popsicle stick holders, things like that. Whenever you do that, I'm trying to find the one. Okay, I cut this design. I printed it and I cut it in a square, a perfect square. And you guys can probably see that I cut it in a perfect square because there is literally a line all the way around that. Can they see that, Sadie? Can y'all see how there's like a edge? Okay, we don't want that. So what we did instead was rip the design. So I just printed the same design. I ripped it out instead of cutting it out, so the edges were a little bit more rough, and you can't see a solid edge around this anymore. So that's like noticeably better in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
And I did try to do a print and cut, and you can still see the outline of the letters on this one. I like this one as well as the ripped edges one. But this one I did print and cut, but you can still see. I added an offset to this design, and then I printed it and I cut it out, and you can still see that edge, and you're gonna see an edge no matter what. Like, you're gonna see a little bit of an edge. We even tried to press them afterwards, and there's still an edge. So you're gonna see it a little bit, but I feel like when you tear the edges, it like thins that sublimation paper out. It thins it so it's not so like there's a corner, there's a line, you know, you can't see it as much. So whenever you do neoprene, make sure you are tearing your design or doing print and cut. I guess it's just going to depend on whatever design that you choose for your neoprene. But I thought that was pretty cool. I didn't know that was like a whole issue.
But I will say that even with the tearing of the edges, if you make sure, like, you can go back in and press that, kind of press it out a little bit. It's still going to be there, but you can press those edges out a little bit. But if you do that, make sure you use butcher paper again.
Yeah, a new sheet. A new sheet of butcher paper.
A new sheet.
Don't try to be skimping on your butcher paper, okay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got like 3 big ones left. I guess I can go over, let's go over this. This is a big one. So what I've got here is our 13 by 19. This is our adhesive paper. This is sublimation paper. It doesn't look any different than regular paper. It feels different. It feels like matte photo paper, or it's almost chalky. Like there's a film on it. And then we've always got the adhesive print on the back. So this is 13 by 19. This is like a big mama print.
Now, there are some people I know that do not have capabilities to print 13 by 19. But this concept that she's fixing to show you can still be done on an 8.5 by 11, 8.5 by 14 sheet of paper.
Even if if 8 inches is as wide as your printer will go, you can still do this concept. And what I'm gonna do is hop over in to Design Space, and I'm going to show you guys exactly how I did this. So you can do it with any design. Let me get logged in. Hold on one second. So we're in Design Space now. Let's see. So what I've done, this is for a blanket, for a sublimation blanket. I want to say they're like 36 by 24. They're like little baby blankets. But what I had to do, I did my design in Design Space, okay? You're probably thinking that's tiny. That's 5.7 by 8.4. What you have to do to trick Design Space is make your design, whatever design that might be. And what I'm going to do is shrink it down. I shrink it down really small because obviously I'm not going to be printing it that small. My blanket's gigantic. And I flattened my image. So it's now a print and cut. So I designed my image. I flattened my image. I shrunk my image. And now I'm going to go to make it. And it's going to, first of all, we need to mirror because we're sublimating. Always mirror your projects if you're sublimating. Otherwise, whenever you sublimate, it's going to look backwards. I'll select continue, and then I'm going to send it to the printer. So I don't want to print from here. I want to print from our dialog box so I can change my settings.
And you want to turn your bleed off for this?
Yes, turn your bleed off. Select use system dialog, and honestly I print everything this way now because it's just out of habit.
Yeah, it's one of those things, like even when I'm doing like Cricut print and cut stuff, I always use system dialog because I feel like I can get really like,
you can pick your settings better.
I get to pick my settings. That's really important to me, picking best quality, things like that. So
yes. So once I'm over here, I want to hit best quality, and then I want to open in preview. So we're still not printing from here. I want to open this in preview, not printing from here. I want to open this in preview. Okay, it's still tiny. What I'll do now is file, print, and here I'm going to be able to select. So the last dialog box, we didn't have the option to change the size of our paper. We need to be able to change the size of our paper, and then we want to blow it up as big as we can. So right now I'm at an 8.5 by 11 sheet. If I wanted to, I could scale this up to, like if you only have an 8-inch printer, you can scale this up to like 120 and literally just like fill it up until you don't want to cut off your design, but fill it up as big as you possibly can. I cannot center it, which is really frustrating to me. I can't center my design in here, but I can make it really big. So I like to go to our 13 by 19, and I think it's the A6. Let's see here. Nope, sorry. A3, borderless. No, you guys. Let's see. Which one is it? It's on here. The 13 by 19. Oh, it's the sub A3. I was like, yeah. Okay. There we go. We're at 13 by 19. So this is our biggest printer paper that we use. And right now my design is teeny weeny. I'm going to scale this up until I feel like it's as big as I want it to be. And honestly, that took it there. 200%. Let's do 210. See what happens. Oh, it kind of cut my design off. 205%. I feel like that's pretty big. And so from 205%, I would go ahead and send this to my Epson Workforce. And then if we can go ahead, I'll show you guys, this is what it will look like when you print it out. This is gigantic.
Yeah.
And so all I would have to do is print like 4 of these, and I can sublimate this onto that blanket.
So you can do that from Design Space.
Yeah.
Or you can work, a lot of what we do, you can work in Design Space, but you can also work in Canva as well. If you are familiar with Canva, it is there is a paid version and a free version that you can work in.
Yes.
I love working in Canva. If you are doing like simple designs, you can still use Maker's Gonna Learn images. You
and
can
fonts.
still use fonts. Maker's Gonna Learn fonts in Canva.
Yeah.
You'll just go in there and upload those fonts. Upload the fonts that you have on your computer and do your design that way.
Yeah.
As long as you download let's say you download a PNG from makersgonnalearn.com, then you would go in there and upload that PNG into Canva. And I'll absolutely love, I actually designed a
license plate.
A license plate
It's so cute.
For Caitlin today. Kind of trying to play around with if we could do a license plate in the convection oven kind of thing.
But anyways, I love that hack. I use that constantly because I like really big images. I want to fill up my space. That's just the style of crafting that I like. Even like with signs and things like that. But yeah, so I feel like that's not too complicated if you wanted to do like a big full page design.
Right, and you can still, this is also still a way for you all to be able to work in design space in a program that you're comfortable with somewhere, and you can still use that print and cut feature. So yeah, love that.
And Anthony was saying in the free version of Canva, they can't seem to size up right. Try the method that we just did here. So you can't really print from Canva anyway. So if you're going to download that image anyways, find it on your computer, send it to preview, and print it just like this. It should be the same exact settings. You should be able to change your paper size. You should be able to scale it to however many % that you want until it fills up your entire page. See if that helps you. I mean, it might. I usually go through Design Space, but I think that would work for you as well. So, okay, this is our next one, you guys. I'm gonna turn this to me. And are we overhead, Sadie? Yes, okay. So you guys may already know this. I've got a t-shirt right here. This is for our t-shirt making fiends. This is for the people who love the distressed bleach t-shirts that everyone's obsessed with right now. What we're gonna do, I've got flour. I've got an entire sack of flour in here, so that's fun. Yep. I've got bleach. What we're doing is I've taken my design, which is obviously backwards because we're sublimating. Always print backwards when you sublimate. And I have cut this out exactly around the edge. You could print and cut and it would cut even more precisely if you really wanted to get crazy. But it does start getting complicated whenever you're trying to sublimate, if you're like cutting out these teeny weeny holes. So what we did, we just cut the general shape, and then we're gonna turn this around, and I'm gonna take a paintbrush and flour, and I am going to paint around the edges. So what this is gonna do is basically tell us where we can or cannot apply our bleach. So what I did, I took a paintbrush and this is my sublimation design. I flipped it over. I am painting all the way around. And now we can take this off, and looky there, it looks like a state. We couldn't figure out which state.
Yeah, I don't know.
I meant to look it up.
Yeah, no.
And then after that, I'm just gonna take another paintbrush with a bowl full of bleach and literally just paint this. I'm gonna paint just inside this design, and you can see it starting to immediately bleach. We are using Clorox bleach. I do not recommend any other bleach. You go to the Dollar Tree, it's not going to work as effectively, I promise.
And just so you all know, this is one way that you can do this. There are multiple ways. Melissa said that you can sublimate on a dark colored shirt and then bleach it afterwards as well. You can do either one. It really depends on what your preference is. Some people like to bleach after. Some people feel like they get brighter colors when they bleach before. But please make sure if you bleach before, you let that bleach
dry.
Completely dry. You wash it out and let it dry completely.
Yes. Do not bleach this and then just go try to sublimate it before you wash and dry it.
Yeah.
Just don't do it. I promise. Yeah. I promise. I made the mistake myself. That's why I'm telling you guys. And then you can just paint that. And so that's going to give you like exactly, which it's looking orange right now, but I promise it changes to white. We've already tested this colored t-shirt. And then after that dries, it turns white, bright white. And then after it's dried and washed, all that flour will be gone. You can tape your design back down and sublimate it, and it's going to be bright, beautiful tie-dye colors just like this.
Yeah.
And that's it. And that's all you have to do. It's pretty easy. I feel like that's a fun hack. If you're a t-shirt person, Caitlin's a t-shirt person. She is the t-shirt queen. So I just love that.
We do have cardboard in between our two layers, just so everyone knows.
Yes, I've got a t-shirt, like, what do you call it? A t-shirt shape?
Board,
yeah. And then that is the second to last one. So we've got only one more. Does anybody have?
Using a heathered t-shirt is very important because it brings out, it bleaches completely white in those areas.
Yes, it looks orange now.
It's orange now, but it bleaches completely white.
Yeah, and I'll show you guys before we hop off, like I'll show you guys how bright it gets because it's going to be sitting over there. Okay, this is something that Caitlin discovered last week. I'm obsessed with this. This is such a perfect Mother's Day gift.
Uh-huh.
Literally perfect. Like, we're telling you guys this for just in time, okay? If you've already got sublimation supplies, run to the Dollar Tree or the Walmarts. Get you some laminating sheets. So I just took a laminating sheet and ripped it in half. I only got one side of the laminating sheet. I have a Dollar Tree canvas. This is the thin canvases, just like this. I haven't tried it on the wood framed canvases. I'm gonna assume it would work. But I feel like you can press these a lot better. Mm-hmm. The other canvases are kind of like bowy in the middle. They like bounce. So canvas, laminating sheet, print your favorite picture of your favorite baby, aka my baby child Ruby. This is my daughter. Ain't she cute?
I know, she's adorable.
So proud. Print your picture on sublimation paper, and what you're gonna do, so you're gonna take your canvas, are we overhead? Take your canvas, imagine there's nothing on this canvas. I'm gonna go ahead and open it so you guys can get the real gist. So you're gonna take just your canvas, you're gonna take 1/2 of your laminating sheet, because normally when you get those laminating sheets, it's like 2 sheets that meet at a seam. So like normally it's like, there would be 2, and I just ripped it in half. So you're gonna take one side, you're gonna do shiny side up. So this matte side is gonna go down onto your canvas. You are going to put this in your heat press at 400 degrees for 5 seconds, okay? And it's going to melt this laminating sheet to the canvas. So after you take it out, trim it up, take your printed sublimation paper, lay it on top, put it back in the heat press at 400 for 25 seconds, and you're gonna get a printed photo on a canvas.
I love it.
Amazing.
I love it.
I love it, you
And
guys.
it even has it kind of has that quality of a printed, like shiny picture.
Listen, if y'all are familiar with the Smallwood homes, like wooden, this is like similar look to that. It looks like it's textured. You could put a frame on these and they would be beautiful. You could even spray them with a matte, like sealing spray, and they would look so good. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many things. You could just add a ribbon and like give it as a gift. You could make a whole gallery wall of these. I think this is such a fun, easy sublimation project. And yes, this is the heat activated laminate that I'm using. If
you're having brown spots when you sublimate on laminate, I would assume that your heat setting is probably going to be too high, because that's probably what it burns pretty easy.
Yeah. So do you guys love this one? I'm literally obsessed.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wedding gift. That would be a good idea, like an engagement photo as a wedding gift. Yeah. So maybe we'll do like a more in-depth video doing that project. I think we may make a TikTok. I don't know. I feel like that would be a fun project to show you guys like in person. But yeah, do y'all have any more questions? Anybody?
Yes. We don't put anything over those specifically. Caitlin, you can leave that as is.
What do you mean, like with the butcher paper?
No, the laminate, once you're finished.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yes. Now, I did take a lighter. I tried to use a heat gun, and it wasn't doing it. I took a lighter and, like, barely grazed the edges and kind of smushed them down so they're not, like, sharp. If you wanted to avoid doing that, you could definitely just pre-trim your laminate paper. But I wanted it to come all the way to the edge. So that's why I did it. And now everyone's like, I need a sublimation printer now.
I know.
I swear, if you put a picture of my family on something, I'm like, I want it. Give it to me now. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm like, if you got a picture, if I can put a picture of my family on there, I want to get it. Yes, you do butcher paper on the bottom, and then put the canvas and laminate, and then you do the butcher paper on top. So I love that. You guys seem to really like that one, which it's my favorite too, so I get it. I think you could try it with an easy press, Linda. I don't know that it would be as consistent, but you could probably play around, and as long as your canvas isn't bigger than your heat press, you'll probably have pretty decent results, I would think.
So the difference with the heat press and the Cricut easy press is that heat press, like that arm locks down and it has pressure.
A lot of pressure.
Pressure with sublimation is absolutely key.
Yes.
If you can use, I've used the Cricut Easy Press and it's doable.
Yeah.
But you have to be in a position whether, like, sometimes when I do the easy press, I have to be like on the floor so that I can like really press down, get above it and press down and stay there until the time is like after 60 seconds.
Yes.
So, I mean, it can be done, but just know, like, you just laying the Cricut Easy Press on top of it.
Like you would for HTV or something.
It's not the same.
No, it's not the same. And Anthony said that they use the mini press to deal with the edges, which Caitlin recommended that I do that, and I just didn't have it out. But yeah, you could totally take that mini press along these edges, and it would seal it all in. So, yeah.